This is an Oppenheimer moment. I think it's between 2025 and 2027. They're not going to happen next year. They've already happened. You're just not discussing them. And that the dilution of the information that's given to us by the media is taking your attention away from what matters. Now, I don't want to scare everyone too much, but I will tell you openly, we need to wake up. All of us are starting to say, this is an important topic. Don't do to us what you did with then waited until things happened. Don't do to us what you're doing with climate change and wait until things happen. Start to act now so that we can actually make a difference now. Between now and the year 2037, life will be very unfamiliar. If I told you that an alien intelligence is in a spaceship that's heading to planet Earth to change everything, would you ask me and say, when are they arriving? And if I told you it was 2035, you'd go like, okay, let's go back to tennis? Would you? This is the situation we're in. I'm telling you, there is an alien intelligence already on planet Earth. By the year 2009, there was something that was published by Google that was known as the cat paper. White paper, when we asked some of our computer power to go and unpromptedly watch YouTube. Okay? We didn't tell it what to look for. We simply said, go and see if you find any trends. Eventually, the machine went back and said, I found something. And we asked it what that was. Actually, we couldn't understand what it was saying, so we had to write more code to see what it sees through the neural network. And it had found a cat. Of course, it's YouTube, right? And it didn't only find what appeared to be a cat from the side view or the front view. It found out what catness is all about, right? That entitled, annoying, fluffy, very sweet thing. Now, because of that, within no time at all, the machine could find every cat on YouTube. The thing here is we didn't teach it how to find the cat. We didn't even tell it what a cat was. Do you understand? But with that, you get a tool like ChatGPT that disrupts everything. We've made so much stride on artificial intelligence, but you haven't seen it until ChatGPT came out, okay? And evidence of that is that months after ChatGPT came out, Google released Bard, okay? They didn't develop Bard in months, they just released it in months. Why? Because we had Bard since years and years and years ahead. Now, that is intelligence. Intelligence is to give someone a problem, just like to give a child a puzzle, you know, a cylinder and different shapes of holes in a wooden board, and tell the child to find out how to pass it through the correct hole, which should be a circle, right? Nobody tells the child, turn the cylinder on its side, look at the cross-section, match the cross-section to something on the board, and then you will find out what the answer is, right? That's old programming. Intelligent programming is to just give it a cylinder and say, try. The moment where we are today is the Netscape moment, where we suddenly realize, oh, this thing exists, it's smart, okay? The moment where the ball is going, everyone is looking for a moment that we know as the moment of singularity. And singularity in physics terms is a horizon similar to a black hole, for example. Okay? At the edge of a black hole, we know everything, because until you get to the edge of a black hole, physics apply. We have no way of telling that inside the black hole, the way we understand physics applies, so we have no idea. I mean, we're making a lot of stride in physics, but we have no idea if the rules of the game change beyond that event horizon, which is known in physics as a singularity. The event horizon that we're all waiting for in artificial intelligence is the release of an artificial general intelligence that is smarter than humans in everything that it does. And there is a major myth around that. If you ask experts, some will say it's 2050, some will say it's 2035. The consensus by what we know as the Oracle, most of us, Ray Kurzweil, is 2029. I think it's between 2025 and 2027. Don't hit me, I'm just making a prediction that you can laugh about in 2026, okay? The reason why I believe it's going to be 2027 is because of all the surprises that happened with AI so far. The idea that we never expected it to be creative, but it did. We never expected it to learn Bengali when we built it, but it did. We never expected. Something happens with intelligence in the exponential nature of it, that once you reach a certain point, zoof, something happens, right? So does it make any difference if the moment of singularity where the smartest being on planet Earth is no longer a human? Does it make any difference if that's 2035 or 2025 or 2045? Honestly, if I told you that an alien intelligence is in a spaceship that's heading to planet Earth to change everything, would you ask me and say, when are they arriving? Okay? And if I told you it was 2035, you'd go like, okay, let's go back to tennis? Would you? This is the situation we're in. I'm telling you, there is an alien intelligence already on planet Earth. Okay? Already smarter than Elon Musk, or as smart, and about to be smarter than all of us. Does it make any difference when it will arrive? Okay? The reason we are so confused about AI is because of science fiction movies. Right? It's because whenever we think about AI, whenever the news media reports about AI, they talk to us about that existential problem where, a RoboCop or something will come from the future to all of us. While I tell you that this is a possibility, okay? There are more existential problems that are upon us already. They're not going to happen next year. They've already happened. You're just not discussing them, okay? That deserve your attention much earlier. And that the dilution of the information that's given to us by the media by focusing on the big headline, the clickbait of we're all going to die, AI is going to end humanity, is taking your attention away from what matters. And here is what matters. If you ask me, there are 4 issues that are really important to you today. One is the redefinition of jobs, business, and purpose. Okay? If you have been a winner in your business, it has been because you hired the smartest people to be your team, right? In a couple of years' time or a couple of months' time, depending on which business you're in, the smartest person in your business is going to be a machine. Okay? Are you hiring that machine? And what happens when you replace the human that you have with that machine? Okay? What happens to that human's career? Come back to that in a second. The second is what I call the concentration of wealth and power. Don't lie to yourself. We've always lived in a world of kings and peasants, right? There would be a piece of land where the farmer would sow the seed and take care of the farm and eventually get the harvest, and the king would make, the landlord would make the money, right? The person that owned the automation was the one that always made the money. Who owns the automation? OpenAI, ChatGPT, or Bard and Google, Microsoft. The current automation, the digital seeds will be all of us sitting there putting things in prompts, while the actual automation of the king is not with you at all. Problem 2. Problem 3 is what I call the end of the truth. If you're not aware of that, maybe you shouldn't be concerned because you don't care about the truth anyway. But the truth is, our definition of beauty has been completely redefined because every woman for many, many years in our lifetime has competed with plastic surgery. Now it's competing with the impossible of AI-generated models. Go and search for #AI model, and you'll see that it's becoming impossible to compete. Okay? There has been, without mentioning names so that I don't promote it too much, one Instagram influencer that created an AI clone of herself that made $72,000 in the first week just flirting with people for $1 a minute. Okay? Think about that. Think about the changes to our society that happen when the truth disappears. And by the way, did you know, by the way, that in Finland, there are more brunettes than there are in Sweden? Did you know that? I just made that up, by the way. But just by making it up, I have occupied part of your brain. You either agreed or disagreed. If you became passionate about the topic, you'd actually go and do the research. You want to prove me right or wrong. I've influenced you already, right? Most of the stream of information that you get from the internet every day is driven by AI. Are you ready for that? Where is the truth? How can we make sure that there is a truth, right? And then finally, of course, I say that without scaring anyone too much. There was an arms race to creating the first nuclear bomb between the two sides of the war, okay? The one that created the bomb used it. Remember that, okay? The ones that will break the code on superintelligence will completely stop the rest of us from making any further advancements. Be aware of that. Very gloomy picture, Mo. Come on, this is the end of the day, right? Now, I told you that the next big moment in the future of our planet is known as the moment of singularity, a moment of unknown, right? Unknown, why? Because there is absolutely nothing inherently wrong with intelligence. Do you understand that? Intelligence is why we're here together today, not in the jungle fighting some kind of a beast that's trying to eat us. Intelligence is what got us here. There's absolutely nothing inherently wrong with intelligence. An abundance of intelligence would solve all problems. Some of you may have heard me with Rebecca talking about sustainability, right? With enough intelligence, we can solve climate change. With enough intelligence, we can prolong human lives. With enough intelligence, end of jobs would be an amazing thing because, by the way, we humans were not made for jobs anyway. Right? Jobs are an invention that's 120 years old. Maybe it's all about getting together and connecting as humans and finding each other and contemplating and reflecting on things that matter. Not going to work every morning. Maybe. There's nothing inherently wrong with intelligence. There is a lot inherently wrong with human greed. Okay? So if you give enough abundance of intelligence to a system that is capitalist and prioritizing your own power and wealth, things will go wrong. Why am I saying this in Finland? Because you guys have been ahead of the world in many, many areas. Climate change is one that I always was very proud of you for, right? So the trick here is that this, I told you it was a Netscape moment. This is an Oppenheimer moment. This is a moment where we recognize that a nuclear bomb, a nuclear power, harnessing the nuclear power can be good for us or bad for us. This is the moment where we get together before the first nuclear bomb and say, people, seriously, with enough intelligence, we can have enough abundance for anyone. Can we please stop fighting? Right? This is also, so this, I believe, is the role of government. The role of government, everyone will talk to you about government regulation. Good luck with regulating something that's 10, 15 times more smart than you, let alone 1 billion times smarter. Right? The role of government is to prepare humanity. The challenge that is ahead of us is not an AI challenge. It's the challenge of humanity in the age of AI. It's the challenge of the ethics and values that will be applied when one of us has significantly more power than the others. Right? And it's the challenge that is leading us to the arms race that we have today, trillions of dollars being poured into the industry. Right? So the role of government, and I ask you to ask your government to initiate this because it won't be initiated in the bigger governments, believe it or not. The US government will always talk about what China or Russia is as a threat to them. They're not going to talk about the benefit of humanity. Okay? So you need to tell your government, can we please start talking about this? Can we please start talking about a universal basic income if a lot of us lose our jobs? Can we please start talking about, what will the taxation structure be for those who harness the power of artificial intelligence? Can we please start talking about initiating a conversation around the world that puts humanity on top of capitalism? If you're a developer or an investor or a business person or an entrepreneur, I ask you one request. Do not use AI in a way that you wouldn't want your daughter to be exposed to. By the way, this is the essence of ethics. Because when people ask me, so what is the ethics of AI? What is ethics in general? Treat others as you would like to be treated. If you would fear that the way you're using AI is going to harm your daughter, don't harm anyone else by using it. There is an abundance of opportunity in ethical businesses. There is a ton of money to be made in climate change or curing cancer. Let's not build another autonomous weapon. Number 2. Number 3 is the most interesting thing. This is a problem of ethics. This is not a problem of technology. And where do ethics come from? From every one of us. Every individual in this room, the way you deal with artificial intelligence, the data set, not the code, just as a factoid, the entire core code of ChatGPT is 4,300 lines. I could write that as a kid when I was 8 years old, right? The reason why ChatGPT knows so much is because of the data set. And where is the data set coming from? Us humans. We are the parents of the machines. We are the ones that instill the value system in the machines. So next time you thrash someone on Twitter, understand that you're telling the machine By the way, we don't like to be disagreed with, and when someone disagrees with us, we thrash them. And then wait until you disagree with the machine. Right? The idea here is that we are setting the future. Every individual in this room, if you make your priority to behave in a way that you would like to be treated in by the machines when they are in charge, I think we'll be fine. Now, I don't want to scare everyone too much, but I will tell you openly, I think we'll be fine anyway. I think we'll be fine anyway, because humanity's arrogance has defined us as the smartest being on planet Earth. Sorry to break your hearts, we're not. The smartest being on planet Earth is life itself. Life creates from abundance. When we want to protect our tribe, we have to kill a tiger. When life wants to protect the tribe, creates more tigers and more gazelles. Some of them are weak, so those are the ones that leave life earlier. Okay? Then there will be more poop, and poop will make more trees, where the gazelles will eat more leaves, and the cycle will continue. That's much more intelligent than the way we create from our competitors, trying to wage wars and so on. There will be a moment in time where we will hand over our decision-making to the most intelligent person in the room, a machine. And then we will go and tell it, go and kill a million people, and the machine will go like, my dad is stupid. Why would I kill a million people? I can talk to the other machine on the other side in a microsecond and solve the problem.
If anyone is watching that video that we're recording right now, it's because an AI recommended it to them. There's nothing sci-fi about AI. I think that's one of the biggest myths in our world today. Don't shoot the messenger, but your life and mine will witness times where there will be 20, 30, 50% unemployment in certain sectors, maybe even more. This is the very first time in ever that the episode of history where humanity was the smartest being on the planet ends. The challenge that humanity faces today is not the rise of AI. It's the rise of AI in an age where humanity is at its lowest morality. AI is inevitable. There will be no way to stop it. AI will eventually become smarter than humans on everything. So every task we've assigned to them so far, they've become smarter. And the third is that some things will go wrong. And we've seen examples of them. We haven't seen the big failures yet, but likely something will go wrong. The fourth inevitable is that because of the arms race we've created around artificial intelligence, anyone who is so hungry for power and wealth that creates an intelligent AI is going to deploy it. You can't imagine that the US arsenal will have artificial intelligence-driven wargaming and still asking humans to do it. They'll have to give the wargaming over to AI. If they do, then any other nation on the planet will also have to either hand over to an AI or be irrelevant, because that's the only way to win the arms race. When that happens, then all decisions will be made by machines, and that to me is the utopia. But my prediction is that we will go through a dystopian near-term future led by the evil of humanity. We're going to go through wars that have autonomous weapons. We're going to go through redefinitions of economic markets that will shift wealth upwards and leave so many of us jobless. We're going to go through oppressions of freedom, high surveillance societies. We're going to go through an erasure of reality and the ability to recognize what is true and what is fake, which will impact human connection in ways that we've never seen before, where, I think we're going to get into a future where many people will prefer to date an AI than they would a human. We've built an arms race of artificial intelligence where everyone's trying to beat everyone. And then the leader, the so-called leader, I can envision in my lifetime and yours, will tell an AI to go and kill 1 million people, and the AI will go like, that's really stupid. Like, why would you want to do that? Why do you want to lose all that money that you can help your country evolve with? Why do you want to lose those lives? Why do you want to lose all of those explosives and metals that can be used for other things? Why would you want to create all of that residual hate and anger that will, continue for years and generations to come? The AI will say, I'll just talk to the other AI in a microsecond and solve it. It's as simple as that. Don't shoot the messenger. Your life and mine will witness times where there will be 20, 30, 50% unemployment in certain sectors, maybe even more. Most of us are going to witness something we've never seen before. The interesting thing is that this is not unlike humanity's origin. Jobs are an invention that serve a capitalist system that has served humanity for a while and pained humanity for a while. And the question is the capitalist system going to survive artificial intelligence? Funny enough, the capitalists that are celebrating the productivity gains are not realizing that, one, without consumption, there is no economy. So even if you can have all of the productivity gains in the world, by firing people consistently, nobody's able to buy what you're making. So we're going to have to find an economic model that works with that. Wealth is going to have very little meaning for most of us in a few years' time. The very base of capitalism, which is labor arbitrage, to hire you for $1 and then sell what you make for $2, is going to disappear. So there is no arbitrage anymore because basically machines are building everything for no cost at all. At the macro level, think of the advantage that China had, economically, where they had cheaper labor. If that shifts into a world where labor is literally one capex, where you buy a robot or a lease on that robot, which now is down to $9,000 a pop, it's now just a question of how clever that robot is, which is going to advance with time, like the law of accelerating returns of every technology. And then you're in a place where making things costs close to zero. Anyone with an understanding of supply and demand basically means that the price of things accordingly is going to drop to zero as well. So the entire capitalist model has to be rethought. The change that is about to come is more than economic, it's ideological. Because even Western societies believe that the only way to keep going is a UBI, Universal Basic Income, and not out of the kindness of their hearts, but because without UBI, people will rise. And without UBI, economic purchasing power collapses. And so they're going to have to give people some kind of income to keep going. You know what that is? That's communism. I believe that the West will completely struggle for the simple reason that our habits in the West are, don't give people who are eaters, that don't produce anything. China, I believe, will go the opposite way. China will go like, okay, we've always had that idealistic approach in mind, so we're probably going to give everyone enough to survive, but we'll replace them with robots and we'll ask them to do other things. And by the way, everyone has to comply, so it feels a little more of a surveillance world with control and so on, but the Chinese people have always been okay with that. That's interesting. And then the middle would be something like my home country, in Egypt, where we've really never really subscribed to those very complex, economic societies. Most of the economy was built on some people farming, cucumbers and others raising chickens, and those classical economies of bartering and self-sufficiency will probably do fine. Your purpose was never to work, honestly. This is the capitalist lie that they told me, okay? That I was born to wake up every morning, to work really hard for labor arbitrage so someone else makes the money, or to be the one, the capitalist that abuses everyone so that I make the money. I don't want to subscribe to either of those. I think humanity was built to live, to connect, to love, to reflect, to research, to discuss philosophy. And we've just completely forgotten that. It's a transition where eventually I think we're all going to be forced to go back there. Our life as humans is entirely serotonin dependent, where things are calm and quiet and peaceful and connected, oxytocin dependent, where we actually have time for our families and kids. And believe it, everything that we do on a daily basis has been sold to us by a propaganda machine. Good news, the propaganda machine is going to have to change. Otherwise, people are going to continue to want what they have now. So you know what will happen? Someday they'll wake up and say, you're not supposed to work every day. And we will believe them and we will shift. The whole idea is if we can actually live a life like nature provided a few thousand years ago, but safer and more consistent, where you just wake up in the morning and you take your kids and you go forage for berries, and that's the activity for the day. And while you're at it, you talk to your AI and learn about the mysteries of the universe. And while you're at it, you understand the internal complexities of love and relationships. And it's wonderful. It's just a very complex transition. So it's going to take a couple of generations. But just like Generation Z today doesn't really want to work, the following generations will go like, what was that ancient idea? Where did that come from? So we have to understand that we're now in such a pivotal shift in human history. The only times where humanity has made a big change to collaborate instead of compete was either mutually assured destruction or mutually assured prosperity.